Thank you so much for coming down tonight. As you said, I'm Mike. I'm founder and head of creative at Tracks and Layers. We are local guys. We're based over in Media City. We're a motion design studio specializing in motion graphics and animation for TV. Just before I kick off, I just want to say a big thanks to Scan and Wacom for putting on such a great event and for inviting me to do a bit of a talk about what we do and some of the ways we've been using some of their equipment over the years, and also some of the newer kit that they've got out now and how we've been having to play with that as well. Just a little thing as well, we were going to try and do like a little bit of a live demo, but as you may have noticed from Andy, like he did a great job considering the resolution of this screen. We've actually just got Greg from our team set up over there. I'm going to show you a little project that we're working on, like a kind of studio project. It's not a client project, so it's fun. And he's going to be doing a little bit of sketching and concept work using the new Cintiq 27 Pro. I think it's the 22-inch one he's working on. So he's over in that booth there. So yeah, I'm going to attempt to try and do this in a fancy way with this device. So here we go. Hopefully it'll clip. So yeah, what are we? So we craft captivating motion graphics and animation for cutting-edge production companies and broadcasters looking to delight and surprise their audience. And as a team, we share a lifelong passion to create images that move, with the goal to delight with creativity while surprising with innovation, which is what we're all about here as well, isn't it? This is a shot of our team at the moment, small team based over in Media City, as I say, just across the road from all the BBC buildings and all that sort of stuff. And these are various shots of us pretending to work. It's not like that really. So yeah, come and have a chat with us afterwards if you ever want to come pop by for a coffee and have a chat with us and see what we do in person. I love meeting people and telling people about what we do and stuff. So yeah, I'm very welcoming in that regard. I think it's really important in the creative industries, especially since COVID and people not being, in person. I'm a big advocate for that. So yeah, that's our lovely team. A few of us are here tonight. We've got Sophie, our studio manager, Jake, one of our animator, illustrator extraordinaires, and Greg, who's a 3D whiz, Swiss Army knife man over there, I call him. So yeah, have a chat with those as well. Some of the people that we work with all the big broadcasters here in the UK, so BBC, ITV, 4, 5, and all the various other people, and some other well-known indies and football clubs and things like that. So yeah, nice variety of clients. And this is a showreel of some of our most recent work. Cheers. So I'm just going to drill into some of the process around a couple of the projects that I think collectively as a team we've really enjoyed working on over the past couple of years. One is a little older and one is very, very recent in a couple of ways. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a sci-fi comedy drama that we worked on nearly 2 years ago now for UK TV and Big Talk, from the creators of Ghosts. There was a kind of a feature-length pilot that they ended up broadcasted on UK TV called We Are Not Alone. It's one of those like sort of geeky dream projects, being able to work on a show that's all about alien invasions and kind of sci-fi and all that sort of stuff. And the team at Big Talk who made it, the guys Ben and Larry, who wrote Ghosts and are in it. I don't know if you've seen that on BBC Two. Like an amazing team to work with, incredibly creative people, and really collaborative as well. So it was such a great process. Initially, we were brought on board to do all the visual effects work for the show. So we created this. You can't see it very well, there's about 8 pixels on here, but we created a mothership, like a 3D asset for that, and we did about 300 VFX shots across the whole series. But then the kind of thing we really, as much as that was all really, really fun stuff, the thing that we really wanted to do was the title sequence, and when they asked us about that, I was like, yep, definitely want to do that, that's going to be really cool. So we were kind of given free rein to come up with a creative for this, and I was really fascinated by kind of 1970s sci-fi imagery and concept art and posters, and pulled together a mood board that sort of encapsulated a little bit of that. And then I latched onto one particular line in the script which talked about how the aliens had found out about Earth, and it was all about the fact that we'd sent the Voyager probe out into space with a map etched onto a disk of how to find Earth. And they were like, how did you find out where we were? Well, you sent us a map. So I kind of latched onto that idea, and we kind of came up with this idea of, so these are some slightly tropey title concepts that we initially came up with. I like sort of generating ideas very quickly and just riffing out a few things. I'm obviously playing on things like Alien and stuff like that for titles. But yeah, in terms of a concept, it was all about us showing kind of the human race's journey from our fascination with the skies and space, and then sending out a probe, and then it follows the journey of the Voyager probe impacting with the mothership, them grabbing it, and ultimately starting an invasion of planet Earth, which is what is effectively the start of the show. So we built some rough storyboards, or style frames, which we then worked into an animatic with an early piece of music that they had composed, which eventually got scrapped. This isn't the final title, this is just a kind of early artwork that we did. And they really liked that, but like with every client, they just wanted the logo bigger. So we, and other things, but you know, one of the things is they wanted to make the text really big because the audience are blind. So then we built this out. Again, you cannot see this particularly well on here, but we created a full set of style frames for this. Breaking down the entire sequence. As you can see, we start with kind of the shot previous to this. If any of you have seen this show, it's still available on UK TV if you want to stream it. But the shot that precedes the title sequence is a kind of beam of light going down onto the protagonist, and he looks up to the sky and he says, "What the?" And that's how we start with this white flash, and then we follow the journey of humans looking up at the sky, and then we get radio telescopes, and we get Voyager, and then we get that going out into space, and the end. I really, really love this step in the process and being able to see everything as a whole and see how it's going to work. Loose link to Wacom, we got to get that in there, right? It's important. One of the things that, like, it's a really subtle thing, but something I really love using things like Wacoms for is adding texture to frames like this. So even just the subtle things, like a lot of this is kind of 3D assets that we worked in Cinema 4D with and then brought into Photoshop and then subsequently into After Effects. But just adding that degree of kind of texture and grunge to stuff around the edges of objects is something that's so much easier, and you know, that kind of freehand natural nature you can do with a Wacom is great. So a lot of that happened with this, as you can see with these frames, hopefully. And then this, as I just touched on, here's just a little bit around the kind of 3D process, getting the 3D assets that might not be obvious as 3D within the final sequence into it, so you can see how this breaks down. And then this is the final sequence. I wish it was longer, but they, edit and like make it really, really short and quick. So I would have wished it was like twice as long, but I still think it's pretty cool. Awesome. Unfortunately, they never got a series out of that, which is a bit of a shame. But maybe it'll come back one day. Or watch it everyone watch it tonight, and then maybe they'll go, oh look, there's loads of people watching it. Maybe we should make a series. And then we will get to make the longer title sequence we always wanted to. Anyway, next one. So Blue Peter holds a special place in my heart. Basically, when I started, I worked at the BBC. I started working there about 13 years ago. I did a job I didn't really enjoy there. I worked in the camera hire department, looked after camera equipment. It was kind of a foot in the door job after I'd left a production job that was great, but the company was kind of falling apart. So I got this job at the BBC. It wasn't what I loved, but on the side I was doing a bit of graphics work. I did a music video for a friend that was all animation. And then someone from Blue Peter reached out to me and said, oh, I saw that animation you did. Do you want to work on Blue Peter? So it's kind of my first job doing motion graphics was on Blue Peter. And it's only taken like 11 years for them to let me do the title sequence. So yeah, it's been a long journey. And it's there for their 65th birthday. So if you're not familiar with Blue Peter, if you're a little too young or you don't care, it is the longest running kids TV show, if not the longest running TV show in the UK. Celebrated its 65th birthday this year, and we designed the logo actually for the previous titles that they had done by another agency, and then this year we actually got to do their full titles, which was a real pleasure to do. And I can take no credit for this. Greg from our team over there has absolutely smashed it on this, and I think it looks amazing. So yeah, a lot of credit to him. He's put a lot of hard graft into this to make it something really, really great. So yeah, as I said, I touched on, we created this title lockup for them a couple of years ago now, because they wanted something that didn't quite work. What they had from their title sequence from another provider wasn't quite right, so we did that. And deep down, we always just wanted to do the whole title. So when they came back to us and said, do the whole thing for us, we were like, yes, now we can actually make it ours. Once again, we kind of pulled together a bit of a mood board of the things that we wanted to kind of bring into this. They didn't want us to completely reinvent the wheel. Not going to say you guys are familiar with what they had before, but they wanted us to kind of level up what they had before. So we still had this kind of swooping, multicolored motif that they'd already had in their titles, but we wanted to kind of, as I say, add that extra level of polish and flair to it. You know, doing the whole bit of a kind of Spider-Verse riff on some of the elements, and they also wanted it to be really, but I'm not really going to touch on it here, but they wanted it to be incredibly modular and be able to adapt it for each week that they have the show, because it's a magazine show. Each week they have different themes and things like that, or they have different badges. I don't know if you're familiar, but Blue Peter have a lot of different badges, not just one now. So they have badges for various different things: music, sport, environment, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of built it as a system as well, which is not particularly creatively exciting, but from a visual point, from a sort of technical point of view, is quite a cool thing to pull together. Greg is a big fan of like drawing things out and sketching things first, and so he started off with working on a kind of animatic, just roughly sketching out the sequence that started out with this letter being written, the letter transforming into the badges and this swoosh, and then we have this kind of modular element where the show could add in different video each week for whatever's happening in that particular show. And then that kind of got leveled up using Cinema 4D and probably a bunch of other applications in the loop there as well, in kind of Photoshop and After Effects and various texturing and stuff like that, so that we've got more of a kind of style frame sequence, which isn't a million miles away from the finished article. And then you can see the finished thing. The pictures that we've got from the show don't quite marry up with the sequence, but you can see what we ended up with anyway.
I'm Abby.
I'm Joel.
And this is Henry. Join in and earn your Blue Peter badges.
Coming up today, we celebrate 65 years of Blue Peter with some former stars of the show.
Superfan James goes behind the scenes as our latest BP VIP.
And we attempt the whitewater rafting challenge.
Cool. So that's that. We've got loads of other stuff that's happened around that in terms of different badge wipes and frames and things like that. So it's a really fun kind of project for us to do. And I'm really proud that we've actually been able to finally make the titles after starting out doing Blue Peter work many, many years ago. The final thing I want to talk about, it sort of ties a little bit more into our use with the Wacom Cintiq over the last few months. I've been really keen for us to try and push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and also to work on things that aren't entirely motivated by clients. So a few months ago, I sat down with Jake from our team, and I was wanting him to focus a little more on his character animation and to sort of find a way to push, as I say, push him out of his comfort zone and also to collaborate a bit more as a team. We can often find ourselves a little bit siloed off into our various projects. So we've set up this studio project to create a title sequence, narrative title sequence for a fictional sci-fi drama. Again, sort of playing into the sort of slightly geeky nature of our team and our interests. So the brief, in essence, was to create a 1-minute title sequence for a fictional sci-fi drama that features animated characters and a narrative thread that teases the rest of the show. And again, once again, we started with kind of, as well as establishing a story, which I won't get too much into because you're going to see a little bit of an animatic for that in a second. But we started with kind of visual references. Some of this stuff, and we might touch on this in the panel discussion a bit later, is things that we sort of generated using AI as well to kind of help with idea generation. But yeah, we really wanted to do this kind of mixture of sort of utopian and dystopian worlds, a little bit of kind of we've got a lot of sort of video game references with things like Limbo and Inside and Alto's Odyssey and stuff like that. They're kind of like 2D, like scrolling worlds that you get in those sorts of games, and that kind of almost stripped back aesthetic that's also really atmospheric. And then Greg went wild and drew loads of amazing frames. Again, just these are storyboards, but we've got an animatic for something that we've for this. So yeah, he's made a rod for his own back with that. So this is like still work in progress, obviously. But it's been really great to see Jake and Greg from our team working together on this really collaboratively. And Jake's been working on some amazing character artwork for this. Here you can see some of the development process on that, getting our protagonist down. And he's more recently done like full character sheets for this with various poses, making sure that all works. I think it's looking awesome. And then I've got a little bit of a, again, because it's a Wacom event, Greg's done a little bit of a screen record. We were going to try and do this live on the stage, but he is over there to have a look at what he's doing. But it's just like a bit of his process for some of the like concept artwork that he's been doing, sped up. He doesn't work this fast. I wish he did. Got to pay the bills, you know. So I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I know that he's been really loving using the new Cintiq 27 that we've been kindly loaned. It's just that kind of, and he's a big fan of using the iPad and Procreate, and it's taken it to that next step, and that obviously being able to use these full-blown pro apps within our workflow and having that big surface to work on and having access to all the brushes and all the familiar ways that he likes to work within Photoshop and Cinema and all that kind of stuff. He's doing some awesome work in that, and you'll see a bit more of that over there if you go and pop your head around and have a look at what he's doing. Some of the kind of more recent stuff that the guys have been doing is turning the storyboard frames into kind of a color script. It's a big thing in animation and Pixar and all that kind of stuff, doing these color scripts to kind of get down the tone and everything for a piece. And the Cintiq's great for kind of that broad stroke work as well as the more detailed and intricate stuff. And that's, again, more stuff here that you can see. This is some of the frames that Jake's been working on. Here's some of the kind of more developed style frames for that are still kind of work in progress. And then I've got a couple of fun little 3D motion test things, again, that have been done. Again, if you're familiar with stuff like Inside and Alto's Odyssey and stuff like that, kind of indie game things with that sort of stripped back but very atmospheric vibe is what I'm keen for it to look like, and also just to actually get the damn thing made. And then this is like hot off the press. Greg's been rigging something in Cinema, like modeled and rigged and animated a little robot that's going to be probably just like a tiny part of one shot. Again, I think he did all this on the Cintiq as well. He can talk to you about his process in that and how he found kind of doing the whole modeling process on the Cintiq and the rigging and animation as well. You know, you think the first thought with these sorts of devices is the more of the kind of sculpting and sketching, but he's using it as kind of his primary input device for more of this kind of, I don't know, less of the sort of sculpting and sketch work and actually creating stuff like this. So it's pretty cool. You wanted to like get the bobble on the aerial a bit better. That was your feedback to yourself, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm excited for this project when it gets finished in like 2035 or something. That's it from me. Thank you so much for listening so attentively. And this is our website that needs work. And so if you do websites, give us a shout. And you can find us on Instagram, or you can follow us on LinkedIn, and yeah, come and have a chat with me as well, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike Pettyt.